Welcome back to SledgeHammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Today, I am joined by Johnny Cleveland, producer. How you doing today, man?
I'm good. And yourself?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, absolutely,
Johnny
Ken.
is a producer. He has been in produced such films as Silencer, The Outsider, and a film that I am a huge fan of, The Final Wish. If you guys have not checked this out, make sure you're checking it out. So how's everything going with you, man? How you holding up through quarantine and everything?
Yeah, sure. I mean, quarantine's been, a little tough. I mean, not really, but really. I would say shooting wise, not being able to like make a film and things of that nature. It's been a little stressful, a little like trying to get your kick of being behind the camera out, of just trying to tell like a great story. I do miss that, with everything that's happening right now. So, but other than that, I've had a great time just being able to see friends, family, kind of taking things very slowly, so.
Yeah. So, one thing, you used to be John Kearns, now you're going more Johnny Cleveland.
Yeah.
What started the transition of that?
Yeah, sure. So, I worked crew for like many years, from lighting, cinematography, gripology, all the different departments that were at that make up a film, right? And then I kind of got into more of the business side of the insurance, brokering, financing, the bonding of films and stuff like that. So I thought it was best for me to separate my business side, which people knew me from from writing their insurance for their films, and
Sure.
I thought it was best for me to just separate those two. Plus, without a bio or a finance company taking a look at my past resume under the John Kearns name, right? Under my legal name, just looking me up online, I was able to forge a new IMDb, I guess, look, right? Of just separating the budgets and the type of films that I was doing, right? So I felt like using a stage name was better for that. Also, it kind of helped, to distinguish between Johnny Kearns, the insurance guy, and Johnny Cleveland, the filmmaker, right?
Sure.
Well,
and like I said, and you've got to work with a bunch of big names: Lynn Shay, Danny Trejo.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're doing something right. So whether it's John Kearns or Johnny Cleveland, you're
Sure.
definitely going down the right path. So,
Sure.
like I said, I'm a huge fan of The Final Wish. It's a movie that was actually talked to me about by the guy that does most of my booking, Michael, and he told me I got to check this movie out. I checked it out. I love what you guys did with this movie. Fantastic film. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of praise on that real quick, because it's one of the movies that once we watched it together, and I went out and purchased it afterwards. I mean, that's how much it meant to me. So I watched it a couple more times.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. The Final Wish is a great movie. My best friend, Timothy Wilbur Jr., he directed the film, and he was the main producer for the film. Tim and I have had a long working relationship over the years for like about 14, 15 years. We've worked off and on, and Tim was talking to Jeffrey Reddick, who basically, he's the creator of Final Destination. Him and his writing team wrote The Final Wish. So like they were back and forth, and then like Tim was like, "Hey, do you guys have something that you guys are trying to get made?" And then Jeffrey and him were like just back and forth, and then Jeffrey brought the film to us, and and I was working for Tim at the time, and I still do here and there, and more in the freelance now, but it was great to see the communication there just from the very start. And it was a very interesting script. Some minor changes were like made before the film got started. And then of course what a director would like to do when you make a film, right? But like it is probably one of my favorite films I have ever worked on. Lynn Shay, she was just great in the film. Went above and beyond. And it kind of took us some time to get her, because at first it was like no. At the end of that, we finally got her. If you ever want to interview Timothy Woodward, you just let me know, because Tim has a really great story just for that. I wouldn't want to delve it out, because he's much better at just telling that story. So
well, and to be honest with you, I'm lucky enough. I do have Tim coming up.
Great. Good.
Yeah, so
good.
I'm pretty excited about that too, man. Like I said, once I see this movie, I knew I had to talk to you guys, man, because it's something I'm really excited about. And it's a very, very good film. So I'm very, very proud to say that I've watched it, that I am able to talk to you and Tim about it, because this is something that I very much enjoyed. So, but let's get into why we are here. The first horror movie that you ever watched that really got you started into the genre. Your first horror movie was?
It was It was one of the Nightmare on Elm Street. Which one? I do not really remember. Other than that, two other ones that I really remember from my childhood is the original Pet Cemetery films, and then also Cujo. If you right, so those are the ones that kind of like stick out. That kind of like stick out the very most to me from like my childhood. So
let's run with Nightmare on Elm Street a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
I'll bounce between the films a little bit, but when you think of Nightmare on Elm Street, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Yeah,
I think of being really scared and trying to go to sleep at night, right? And then being like chased around by Freddy,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's the thing about Freddy. When you're a kid, you watch Jason or Michael Myers, you go to sleep to get away from him. But then you think about Freddy Krueger, who's in your dreams, and you don't want to go to sleep, because then you're going to run into him.
Exactly, right? Yeah.
So when we're talking about Nightmare on Elm Street, which scene do you think affected you the most, and why?
Gosh, that's a big one. I'm trying to remember which one. I would say almost any scene that had Freddy Krueger where he brings that claw up, right? Oh my goodness, right? So like get me out of this room,
No, I definitely get it. So when you think of the Nightmare on Elm Street series as a whole, would you consider that one of your favorite horror franchises, or is that just one of the one-offs you watched?
Yeah, as a successful horror franchise, I would say it's probably one of the top, right? As one of my favorite, I don't know. It's definitely one of my firsts. It's definitely one of the most memorable ones. like the ones that I remember from my childhood, right?
Sure.
So as my favorite horror film, I would have to say it's probably Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Outside of that, it's a small little horror film that was made back in the '80s called the Mutilator.
Mutilator,
Yeah, my dad he was the stunt driver in that film. So
that's awesome, man. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it's a very badly acted horror film, but with some really good kill scenes in the film. So yeah.
Well, you brought up the kill scenes, man. So I got to ask you, Nightmare on Elm Street. What kill or death do you think stuck with you the most? What was your favorite kill or death scene in a Nightmare on Elm Street movie?
Gosh, I'm trying to remember just off the top of my head here because I haven't seen it in so long. That I don't know. Sorry,
No, man, it's fine. Like I said, that's why I love doing this. Kind of pushing those boundaries and trying to remember what you know, what you don't know. So you brought up Pet Sematary and Cujo as well. This Nightmare on Elm Street, Pet Sematary, Cujo. Which one do you think affected you the most of those three?
There's three. I mean, I would say Pet Sematary is probably the one that that probably got me more than any of them. Because whenever I have to bury a pet, there's a little something inside me. I'd love for them to come back, but not like in Pet Sematary, right?
Right. Okay. Well, so if you could choose between those three, just the one that you could watch, you can only choose one. You got to get rid of the other two. Which one are you picking?
I mean, I'm picking Pet Sematary. Yeah.
That's awesome. See, and I think Cujo, honestly, is one of the most underrated horror movies of all time because that's a scary movie, and a lot of people don't give Cujo the credit that it deserves as well.
Yeah. No, sure. Absolutely.
So, Beck, I'm going to go back to Nightmare on Elm Street on you one more time real quick. I'm doing a skull count. 0 being the worst, 5 being the best. How many skulls are you going to rank Nightmare on Elm Street?
I mean, I want to give it a 4 just because it was one of my firsts, and it's had a very successful, film trilogy or just like remakes or sequels. It's definitely one of the most grossing horror franchises that's out there, right?
Oh yeah. Well, and let's hit Cujo and Pet Sematary with that as well. You're ranking Cujo and Pet Sematary 0 to 5 skulls. What are your rankings of those films as well?
Sure. I think Pet Sematary ranks about a 5, and I think Cujo ranks about a 4 to a 4.5. Right? I mean, Cujo is a very strong film. And I do like agree with you that it's very underrated, right? But it's something about Pet Sematary that just holds something very, very down, in your heart because it deals with your pets, right? So yeah.
And one of my favorite practical effects of all time is done in Pet Sematary when Gage cuts. Why can't I think of his name? The older dude when he cuts his ankle. He falls down and Gage starts biting out his neck.
Yeah.
Like that whole scene to me is just so awesomely done. Like it's shot well. You got a little kid that's in there doing this practical effect and biting the meat out of his neck. Judd, that's his name. Yeah. When he's biting Judd's neck. That's one of my favorite practical effects of all time because you have a kid that's executing it and he's executing it so well.
Oh yeah.
Pet Sematary, when I think of Pet Sematary, that scene and then Zelda, the sister, always freaked me out in Pet Sematary.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
So don't go anywhere. I got a couple more questions for you. Everybody else, thank you so much for tuning in. I am so honored to have Johnny Cleveland here. Maybe some of the questions I'll ask you about maybe getting you back on for another podcast I'm doing here in the future. But everybody else, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Remember, stay what you are, keep talking horror, and we'll talk to you guys soon.